So my wristband says forever free, and this is because my brother was murdered by the COVID vaccine last year. I said the COVID vaccine, not COVID itself. We know that this is a product of the CCP. We know that this is a product of Wuhan, meant to control populations. The one-child rule wasn't enough. They wanted to spread something that would put the thumb of oppression over the entire world, and we saw that for 18 months when we were on lockdown. My brother was in prison and was forced to take the shot, quote unquote, to keep his job in prison. But here's something interesting about the prison population in Georgia during the pandemic. They were more sequestered than any other person on the planet. For example, they had every security guard there had a COVID test twice a day, and there were no visitors allowed. There was no COVID within the prison system. So why were they mandated to get the shot? It was for population control. You know, Black America understands this because of the Tuskegee Project, where they were experimented on. That is the same thing that has happened to people in prison here in the United States. And you might say, who cares about prisoners? It is a symptom of our government being coerced by organizations like the CCP into implementing government overreach, which is what we call it here. And that is very similar to communism. It is very similar to socialism. As a matter of fact, it's a symptom of socialism. So CCP, they're here right now. It's just how far will we allow this movement to grow before we put a stop to it. When my brother died 3 days after taking the shot, he had a massive heart attack. He received no medical aid, but yet our family has no recourse. And the millions of families who have been vaccine injured, they have no recourse. Why? Because we're not holding China accountable for what they did in releasing that plandemic on the rest of the world. So what do we have to do? On a federal level, we have to freeze assets. We have to identify who these key people are and get them out. We also have to reclaim our land. And obviously there's a technological component as well as the economic component. As long as we are buying everything made in China and we don't produce anything here, then we become slaves to the CCP. Right now, we are their financiers because everything that we purchase that was made in China is going right back to them, and the Chinese citizens are receiving nothing in return. They are slaves as well. So we become their economic partners in crime. The Chinese people are suffering. And we could talk about Taiwan, how China is trying to go in and get the chip manufacturing and do all of these different things with technology in order to finish their evil plan. As long as we are buying made in China goods, as long as we are giving them an opportunity to be here in America and set up shop, then we are funding that evil empire and that regime.